From somewhere out there in Southern Oregon.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show, brought to you by Wiggle.
Coming up this week, why the Tour de France might not be as hard as you thought.
Controversial. We've also got a science special in cycling shorts, which of course I've let Oliver Bridgewood, PhD, take charge of, and a brand new record for cycling across Europe. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that you should never, ever celebrate too early.
This is poor Lucy Kennedy of Mitchelton Scott on the verge of winning the biggest race of her career in stage 3 of the Giro Rosa, only to be overtaken by Vos the Boss with about a metre to go.
Ouch. We also learned this week that you should never, ever celebrate too early. This is poor Nadia Quagliotto celebrating, but she was beaten to the line by fellow Italian Letizia Borghese the following day.
Oh man, you gotta be gutted for him, haven't you?
Yes, totally, especially Quagliotto, because that in fact would have been the first pro win of her entire career. Don't forget in fact that you can catch daily highlights of the Giro Rosa over on our brand new YouTube channel, GCN Racing, and in fact also daily highlights of the Tour de France.
And finally this week, we learned that the Tour de France is nowhere near as hard as it used to be. Hank teamed up with round the world record holder Mark Beaumont, and together they rode the first ever stage of the Tour de France, all 467 kilometres of it, from Paris to Lyon.
And to make it authentic, they did so on vintage bikes, didn't they? From that era, without any gears, a fixed wheel, brakes that didn't really work very well, and a saddle that Hank described as the worst thing he's ever had to sit on for 25 hours.
Well, irrespective of that classic Hankism, I think fair play to him. I felt genuinely sorry for him, guilty even that we'd sent him out there with such a hardened rider as Mark Beaumont, who himself said it was by far the hardest ride he had ever done. Coming from Mark, that's quite a big statement.
Yeah, it did sound brutal,
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
And actually one thing they couldn't replicate, of course, were the road conditions from 1903, which was far inferior, almost superior, far inferior to the modern day in 2019. So when you take that into consideration as well, the fact that the winner of that first ever stage, who went on to win the overall, Maurice Garin, completed the 467 kilometres in 18 hours is remarkable, because that's a full 7 hours quicker than our very own heroes.
Yeah, well, even more remarkable is the fact that, well, Mark and Hank didn't have to complete a 5 further stages after that as well. So, well, back when Maurice Garin did it, the tour was 6 stages long over a total of 2,428 kilometres. So 1,000 kilometres shorter than what the guys are doing currently, but, well, yeah, over 6 stages rather than the sort of 21 stages we have this year. And it wasn't actually until the 1940s that we started to get the sort of 20 to 25 long stages that we typically have.
Yeah, no, that is true. Admittedly, that first ever tour wasn't on consecutive days.
Yeah.
They had a couple of rest days in between each of the stages, but nevertheless, absolutely brutal. And so from that very, very first edition, the Tour de France has always really been considered as the ultimate test of human endurance from a sporting point of view. But given how things are in the modern era, we are starting to question whether or not that's still the case.
No, we can't. And bear with me on this, because I have to stress, right, I have the utmost respect for any rider that completes a modern Grand Tour.
Oh, thanks, mate. It was 9 years ago, still fairly modern.
Even you. Now, I think the Tour de France is harder than ever to win right now. The level is so high and the margins are just so narrow. But I don't think it's the distance that makes it really hard. In the modern era, I think it's the speed at which they race.
I think I'd agree with you on that one, for a few reasons actually. The first of those reasons is the fact that the racers of course had to adapt to the 21st century and therefore TV audiences who want to be entertained as much of the time as possible. And that seems to have made the organisers shorten the stages reasonably significantly. Added to that, the fact that the equipment is so much better now than it was in the early days, the roads are so much better, and as you pointed out, the level of the rides is so high and also so even spread across the teams. What that means is that you can cruise along for massive numbers of kilometres with barely any effort.
Is that what you did?
Yes. Other parts of the race, I was not cruising along behind the peloton with a very high effort.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. I do genuinely have a lot of respect for you.
Hey, you said that twice now, to the point I almost don't believe you anymore.
Well, I would have been even more impressed, Dan, if you'd completed the tour back in 1926. Because back then, that was the longest ever tour. 5,745 kilometres were raced that year. Over 17 stages, it was just under 4 weeks long. And the winner, Lucien Bursa, get this, he averaged 24k an hour. And so the race took him 238 hours. That's a lot, isn't it?
That is a hell of a lot. Yeah.
But it's even more when you compare it to last year's race, which Geraint Thomas won. That was 3,400 kilometres long, but it only took him 83 hours. So he was only riding for a third of the time.
Yeah, it's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to reiterate, we are not taking anything away from the competitors at this year's Tour de France. They are still at the peak of human sporting performance, but we just don't think they're at a peak of human endurance. I mean, every single competitor in this year's race could, if they had to, do an extra 50, 100, maybe even more kilometres every single day, but that's just not what it's about anymore. As you pointed out, it's about the small margins, it's about the high speeds, and frankly, that's the way it's got to be now, because if the leader of the race is leading it by an hour, not many people are going to watch it on TV.
No, and I think if it is the ultimate feat of human endurance that you're looking for, then, well, I think cycling still has it in the form of ultra endurance racing, which in many ways is, well, that sort of harking back to that old era of the Tour de France, but you know, the old roots of that, but in the modern era. Yes, the bikes and equipment are much better, but the distances are still the same, and also the fact that these rides are often self-supported, which means, well, for me, the guys and girls that do them, such as, well, Christoph Strasser and Lael Wilcox, are the peak of human endurance.
Well, they are. I don't think there's much doubt about that. And professional cycling just needs to accept that fact. They have no choice in pro cycling but to be about excitement and entertainment. And that might well mean that Grand Tour stages continue to get shorter. And I don't personally see that as necessarily a bad thing. What I do often see as a bad thing is a 240 kilometre stage that's guaranteed to finish in a bunch sprint where two riders go up the road after 100 metres and then nothing happens until 5k's to go.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps the Tour should relinquish some of the longer stages and have more shorter stages that are potentially more exciting, because you also get it on those mad sort of Queen stage epics where there's 5 Hoare category climbs and they just look ridiculous on paper, and then as a result the peloton just seems to kind of, well, it neutralises the race. They just seem to, yeah, crawl up the first few and then just only really ride hard on the last climb.
That said, we do sometimes get some epics that are long and very hard, don't we? We wouldn't have had Chris Froome's exploits at the Giro d'Italia last year had it not been for the Colle della Finestre.
Yeah, forget what I said.
No, I am also in agreement with you. It's a tough one though, and of course we'd love to hear your thoughts on this very subject in the comments section below, both about how hard the Tour de France is, but also what you think about the shorter or the longer stages. Before we finish with this part of the show though, you might remember that last week we told you about a potential record for cycling across Europe. And I'm very pleased to announce that Ian Walker has achieved exactly that. He's just finished riding across 10 countries, totaling 6,350 kilometres, and it took him just 16 days, 20 hours and 59 minutes. And that is an average distance per day of not far short of 400 kilometres. Congratulations to you, Ian.
Fair play.
It is time now for your weekly GCN Inspiration. All you need to do to be in with a chance of winning one of 3 Wiggle voucher amounts is either use Instagram with the hashtag GCN Inspiration or upload your best cycling photos using the upload, or a link to which is in the description below. Third will net you £50 of vouchers, second will get you 75, and first place will get you £100 to do whatever you want with over on the Wiggle online shop. We're getting so many entries these days, it's taking us forever to go through them all, but we've picked out our 3 favourites.
We have. So in third place this week, we have Drew, who's taken this beautiful picture, which is in Montenegro. Which, I've
never been there, but I really want to go over there now. That looks like a fantastic cycling area.
Yeah, and he took this picture while out for a ride when he was visiting. He rented what he describes as a terrible hybrid rental, but well, I mean, it was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter, does it, when you just want to get out on your bike, and well worth it when you end up with that view, and 50 quid. Well done to you, Drew.
Stunning.
Second place this week goes to Gangwan from Singapore. So sorry about that if it's that bad. Currently based in Seattle though. So he's been on the highest paved road in Washington State, Melt, and a national park crews cleared the road at sunrise at 950 meters elevation. So that was on the slopes, hold on a second, I just missed it, of Mount Rainier, or Rainier should I say. Well, it's a very well composed picture that, and a beautiful background, isn't it?
Yeah, nice. I love it when there's all the snow in the background like that, even when it's bright, clear blue sky.
I like the use of a stick.
Yeah.
Precarious, I would say, that is. Not many people would trust themselves with a stick to prop a bike up, would they? So well done to you. £75.
And this week's winner with £100 in wiggle vouchers is Elena, who took this beautiful picture in the Yosemite National Park of her look 675, sorry. And wow, look at that.
Yeah,
she's approaching
Stanford Cycling and Stanford Triathlon right together through there because triathletes and cyclists can be friends. Well, yes, we would completely agree with you on that one. We do take the mick out of triathletes quite a lot, but it's all in jest, isn't it? We actually love Mark and Heather and Fraser who are out there in the office right now. But very well done to you, Eleanor. £100 of vouchers will be winging its way to you. And don't forget the rest of you to enter ready for next week.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and while Mark Cavendish may not be riding the Tour, he did get to ride with 5-year-old Evan Llewellyn from Nottinghamshire.
This is a brilliant story, isn't it? The ride came about because Evan's mum tweeted Cav and said, look, it's all right, I still want to ride with you. And Cav then decided to make the 5-year-old boy's dream come true by actually going out for a ride with him, and they even visited his school and everything.
Yeah, brilliant. After the ride, Cavendish tweeted, "Thanks for the ride, Evan. I couldn't bear to see you sad, and I knew a bike ride would cheer us both up."
Brilliant,
what a nice
brilliant
story.
stuff. I love that, yeah.
Right, time now for a dose of science. Dan, are you a big fan of self-myofascial release?
Oh, I love it. What is it?
Otherwise known as foam rolling.
Oh,
Truth be told, I probably should do more of it, to be honest. Well, thanks to some new research, I'm inspired to do it more.
I think the jury's been out on this one for a while, but in this study that was published in the Journal of Sports Science and carried out by researchers over at Salzburg University, they found that foam rolling twice per week for 20 minutes at a time would improve your core strength and your hamstring flexibility, in addition to the assumed benefits of recovery and massage.
Yeah, it should be pointed out it was a randomised control study that was 8 weeks long, and they found that there were no detrimental impacts of foam rolling, so no excuse not to do it.
No, well, you might as well if you can find the motivation now, Ollie. Incidentally, that's one of my favourite journals. It's been a good week already on the GCN Show. Next, you're going to be telling me that we've got something from the Journal of Exercise and Sports Science Reviews.
Well, funny you should say that, Dan, because an article published in that very journal has shown a direct relationship between exercise and the microbiome, which is the bacteria and microbes that inhabit your gut. Now, they found that exercise independently affects and alters the composition and functional capacity of the microbiota, with implications for, well, disease and all-round health.
Why is this important? Well, Ollie's almost just explained it there, but basically healthy microbes have a large impact on the overall health of your body, also body composition and not getting sick.
For example, a seminal paper by Turnbow et al. Showed that by taking the fecal matter, or poo, which contains gut microbes, from obese mice and transplanting that into non-obese mice, caused rapid weight gain and changes in body composition in those poor non-obese mice.
It is also quite well known that exercise has a positive benefit to mental and neurological health, and it's quite plausible that much of that benefit of exercise to your brain comes from the gut microbiota. It is now thought that 90% of the serotonin that is produced in your body comes from the gut.
Yeah, meaning that the gut talks to the brain. And, well, this is a really interesting area of study because it means that we can potentially better understand the benefits of exercise. And understanding that better will lead us to be able to work out what is the optimum amount and duration and type of exercise for health. And the take-home message from this study is that, well, your gut microbes can be altered by exercise independently of what you eat and feed them. So, Interesting.
My gut sometimes talks to my brain, says I'm hungry. Sometimes out loud, actually.
It does. We now have an absolutely awesome giveaway from our mates at Alpe. They've just released their 2020 models, and to celebrate this, they're giving away a bike.
Yeah, and you want to listen to how to enter this because it's a top-end bike, of course. It's your opportunity to win an Alpe Orca Aero, just like Hank is riding here.
Yeah, it's a fun giveaway to enter as well, because all you have to do is go over to Alpe's website. There's a link in the description below, and you can go on their custom paint designer, which is called Mayo, and design your own paint scheme. And then take a screenshot of that and submit it using the uploader below in the category Alpe Orca Aero Mayo, and you'll be in with a chance.
Yeah, what an opportunity this is. It's not going to be a random winner though. What we're going to do is choose our 5 favourite designs, and then next week on the GCN Show we're going to show them to all of you, and it'll be you lot that are voting for the winner, and whoever that winner is will get their own design.
I'm looking
not just the design on a piece of paper, the actual bike with their design on it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Do some good ones.
It is time now to talk about us. We're going to give a quick plug to the GCN shop because we've got some special new fan kits in. They're a nod to the countries that host the 3 Grand Tours each year, and the example that I've got here for you is the French one, based on a very similar t-shirt that I've been wearing out at the start of the Tour de France just a couple of weeks ago. It's kind of classic retro design, isn't it? But we've also got them for Spain and for Italy, and along with the jerseys, we've also got a casquette for each nation too. They're all available for pre-order over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com.
I like those.
And whilst we're talking about ourselves, we've also got some news about our events.
Yes, there are still a few places left on our summer cycling holidays to Avoriaz and Saalbach. So if you want to come, well, act fast.
Yeah, and if you do come, please ride slow if you want to ride with me. Actually, speaking of which, we're also very pleased to announce that GCN Events has partnered up with Spokes Performance Coaching. They are going to give every guest a personalised training programme on the run-up to the event, which apparently, and I've been told to say this, will guarantee that you beat me up all the local climbs. I'm not sure you necessarily need that in order to achieve that goal, but they have also said they'll help you achieve your other cycling goals too.
Yeah, I'm proper excited. I'm going the Saalbach one. I can't wait to ride up the Grossglockner.
I can. Anyway, see you there. Hopefully.
Yeah, head to gcnevents.co. That's it, that's the address.
Yes, gcnevents.co.
Yeah, and then we'll send you your training plan through once you've signed up.
Hack / Bodge of the week now. First up this time around is this one from Joan over in Ohio in the USA. While participating in the Great Ohio Bicycle Adventure Tour, I came upon this bike. Snacks for a crowd.
Yeah, massive container of Utz nuts on the front of the bike there. Also some impressive lights.
Yeah.
I mean, the lights thing's a bit of a hack.
Well, also the highest aero bars I've ever seen in my life, and a saddle that looks like a hammock.
Yeah, and also, I'll tell you what, there's a few going on here. Using a guide rope to hold the bike up as well. That's a hack, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you probably couldn't hang a backpack off many other saddles, could you? But anyway, well, lots of hacks and bodges, I think, going on in that photo. But
what are we going for then?
Well, what did we have last time? We said Hodge, didn't we? And somebody else said it could have been a back. Anyway, moving on. This one came in from Daniel in Cheddar in the UK here. Racked up outside a leisure centre. Had they gone to spin class?
Well, I think what's funny on his submission is he's very keen to put, this is not my bike. Also I think he struggled to ride up Cheddar Gorge.
Well, yeah, that's pretty. I don't even know how you steer that thing. It reminds me a little bit of the bike I used for our eBay challenge a couple of years ago, which was some kind of Schwinn Cruiser, which was impossible to ride up a hill, hence my running, etc. But that one looks even more hideous.
That's a bodge. It's a definite bodge. Next, we've got George, who has a Canyon in-flight. And he has, his plastic top cap broke because it was over tightened. And so to fix it, he used a cleat washer from his Shimano shoes. There you go. I think that to get yourself out of a tight situation, that's a good hack.
It is. Yeah, it takes some ingenuity.
Yeah, if you needed to do it.
George from Milton Abbotts in Dorset, which is not too far away from me. Quite a decent climb up through there. I think it's near where Hank went to school as well. Right, moving on. Sonia from Croatia. I need you to determine a certain hack or bodge me. My boyfriend made this bottle holder out of wood. Now, it would be a hat because it saves us money. These things are expensive, yet it is made of wood and doesn't look very elegant. So he's kind of complimenting, but also slagging him off at the same time. We also said, we are triathletes, but we do wear socks, I swear. Please help. Well,
it's a very expensive bike.
It is an expensive bike, so I know that these bottle holders and things are expensive, but you kind of look like you can afford them.
Yeah, based on your bike. I think whenever there's zip ties and the potential of splinters involved, we're firmly in Bodge territory there.
Yeah, well, I would say hack if it was on a rally racer, I reckon, but it's not. It's on a top level felt time trial triathlon bike, so Bodge. Sorry about that to you and your boyfriend. Next up, this from Snartit. An original Sora 9-speed cassette. I wanted to upgrade to a full 105 R7000, but Freehub could only fit 10-speed, a little bit of grinding, and the new 11-speed cassette fitted perfectly.
Impressive grinding, but I don't know, I mean...
Is that dangerous? You'd know better than me. Could that potentially just fall to bits?
Sheer to bits.
I mean, if I sprinted on that, I wouldn't be too confident.
Yeah, well, fortunately, if I sprinted on it, it'd be absolutely fine.
Anyway, why don't you at home decide on the cassette, hack or bodge? Let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to get involved ready for next week's show. The hashtag on social media is GCN Hack, or of course, you can use the uploader. And you'll find a link to that in the description below. It's time for our new segment where you get to ask us one of your training related questions for the chance to win 3 months free subscription to Zwift. All you need to do is put it either in the comment section below or on social media and use the hashtag AskGCNTraining. The winner of that subscription this week is Mark Hagan, who tweeted with this question. Hi, I'm preparing for Paris-Brest-Paris and doing a lot of high volume zone 2 and 3, but Mark Beaumont recommends working through the cadence and heart rate zones for ultra cycling. Can you recommend anything specific for ultra events and frequency? Thanks, hashtag AskGCNTraining. Well, in many ways, the training for such an event as this is very simple, isn't it? It's all about volume.
Yeah, and it sounds like from your message that you have got this base covered already and completing a good amount of zone sort of 2 and 3 riding.
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to do is make sure your bike position is dialed from this point of view. You're going to spend a lot of time on it, both in training and on the event itself. So make sure that you're in a very comfortable position before you start doing all of this long training. And then once you are focused on the training, there's really 2 things that you want to focus on. Riding at threshold and then riding at tempo just below that.
Yeah, and increasing your threshold has the effect of bringing up the level of your easy riding as well and making you more powerful and faster at that intensity. So a good thing to do would be 10 by 4 minutes, where the 4 minutes are just above your threshold, and then have 90 seconds recovery in between each one of those 4-minute intervals.
Yeah, and you should find over the space of just a couple of months or so that your power increases reasonably significantly over those 4-minute intervals. Secondly, in order to train yourself for the long periods that you need to sustain at timber power, you need to ride at exactly that zone, basically. It's just below what you do at threshold. So if you can set aside a couple of rides per week where you're doing a solid 1 to even 2 hours at that solid, consistent tempo, that is going to be very, very potent indeed.
Yeah, good luck in such an epic event. Sounds awesome.
I think you're gonna have great fun. Might be type 2 fun, so post-event. But yeah, as Ollie said,
tying into earlier as well, Maurice Garin, the first winner of the Tour, he also won Paris-Brest-Paris.
Did he indeed? Didn't he have a nickname too?
He did. Le Petit...
Okay, remember it now. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? Anyway, moving on to our favourite comments from the last 7 days of videos. I stitched you up there, didn't I? Underneath our highlights for the first stage of the Tour de France over on GCN Racing, subscribe now. This came in from eCycled 3D. So happy you guys are doing this. Stellar, and nice job on the commentary, Simon, which I would echo. He was blooming good over the first couple of stages, but I've taken over now, so hopefully we'll get the similar comments underneath the new ones.
Yeah, meanwhile, underneath the coolest things that you see at the Grand Depart video. It's a good video, that.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, Big Stu says, botting tinnies while on camera, you shameless tart.
Hands up. Yeah, I'm a shameless tart, but I got given a free can of beer and drank it immediately. So there. And finally, underneath Cyclist versus Footballer with Chris Opie and Ben Foster, Life of Poddy wrote in, but even Ben Foster thinks that his job gets in the way of him being a full-time cyclist. Absolute gold, which is also a great video. So if you haven't already watched that, make sure you do so. Right then, coming up on the channel over the next 7 days. On Wednesday, we are going to look at how to become a Tour de France, how to look like a Tour de France pro. On Thursday, we've got 10 things you wish you knew about cycling, and there's a CCC truck tour too with Mr. Oliver Bridgewood, PhD, just here. And on Friday, we've got another how-to gravel.
Yeah, on Saturday, we've got Old Men Can't Jump, or can they? On Sunday, you want to tune in for this because we have got a hot new bike from Canyon.
We have.
Can't tell you what it is though.
No, unfortunately not, but stay tuned for that. Monday, of course, is the Racing News Show. We'll be wrapping up the conclusion of the Giro Rosa and also the first full week of the Tour de France. And then Tuesday, we're back in the set for the GCN Show, episode 340. Almost the end of the show now. You know what that means. It is Extreme Corner. And this week we are featuring our very own dirty boy, Neil Donoghue of GMBN fame, who's been riding some gnarly rocky trails, dude, over in Squamish. Not bad, not as good as some as the Extreme Corners.
Yeah, not especially now.
Donny did request that we put him into Extreme Corner this week, but I think you might be nervous. There's a few big crashes in the last couple of years.
To be fair, yeah.
He's getting older.
Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's time for the end, so please subscribe if you haven't yet already to GCN, and also click the little bell icon so that you get notifications every time we upload a video. And also check out our new channel, GCN Racing, by clicking down here, where we've got daily highlights from the Tour de France. It's been good so far.
Is that all you can say? It's been good.
It's been
Better than me slagging off Donny, I guess.